Hello and welcome to a new video that is back to school related, which is actually the first back to school video of the summer, but as it is officially August, I feel like it's that time of year again. That means there are probably a lot of students sitting around right now and kind of getting nervous or excited for their first year at college, and in the case that is you, I wanted to make this list of things that I think you should know, do, and prepare for prior to heading off for your first year at school, which should be probably this month unless you are at UChicago or on the quarter system like I am, in which case you'll be starting next month. This is obviously just a list of recommendations, so don't feel like you need to do everything on this list. And also, I originally started it with UChicago in mind, but it really applies to any college or university, which is why I'm not calling this video strictly UChicago Prep. It applies to basically any university, and I'll make note of when it happens to be particularly tailored to UChicago, but that shouldn't be the case most of the time. With that being said, I think that it's good to go online and prepare by watching other people's videos and vlogs of students at your university, because it gives you an idea of how your day-to-day life is going to be for the next year, and it can help you kind of prepare and get used to some of the sites that you might see on campus. Go through and find YouTubers who go to your school. I go to UChicago, as I said, and I like to try posting day in the week, day in the life, things like that. Day in the week, I didn't mean to say that. Week in the life, day in the life, just to kind of give a glimpse at what that life is like. As soon as you get your classes, make sure that you order books from the bookstore. This is pivotal because they run out of the books, unfortunately, and then you've got to be on a back order. That's just not fun. So as soon as you get your course list, your reading list, make sure that you don't delay in ordering those books, whether you do textbook rental or you're ordering from the bookstore. Map out your class routes. If possible, do it in person, either when you arrive or like if you live close to your campus already, drive over and look at all the buildings that your classes are going to be in and make sure you know how to get from point A to point B. It might seem easy when you're just looking at Google Maps, but when you're actually there in person and there's hundreds of students wandering around campus getting from one class to the other, it's really stressful if you know you have 5 minutes until your next class and you're not already sitting in there. And I'd say not just knowing where your building is, but where your classroom is too, because I honestly have a lot more trouble with identifying the location of the classroom once I'm in the building. It's the classroom that's tricky. Orientation, or O week. There's a lot of advice that could be given on this. Like, there could be a whole video on O week. I would say though, because I've experienced 2 orientation weeks and both weren't really representational for a United States orientation week, because the first one was 2020, it was COVID, and it was all online. I was just sitting in my room alone, so it was none of the parties that you hear about and stuff. And then last year I was studying abroad, so I got to experience O week through my university based in a different country. I guess what I would take away from these 2 experiences, despite them both being anomalies, is that you're going to potentially feel FOMO. If you can, tell yourself that like it's not real. You're not really missing out on everything, because like let's say you're not invited to a certain party you wanted to go to. 99% of people aren't invited to that party. Things tend to be blown out of proportion or like maximized on social media, so you might be like scrolling through people's accounts and see, oh my gosh, everyone else was at this party or everyone else was at this O week event and I missed it. But don't feel like you missed out, because odds are most people weren't there and you're just seeing the people who were there. For me, the first week was really hard because I missed home. So if you're not able to attend everything and you're missing out on things because you're missing home or you're trying to settle in, don't feel bad about that. While you're prepping for school, you should go ahead and follow all of your social media pages that are relevant to your class and your college. So clubs that you want to join, follow their social medias. You probably have like an Instagram class of 2027 or whatever page that you can follow, or even like chat groups, Facebook groups. There's all sorts of ways that you can connect with your future classmates. So this next one you probably should have already done, hopefully, because it opens October 1st. As soon as financial aid opens in general for your institution, as well as just federal financial aid, you want to apply as soon as possible, because very often it is first come, first served. Renting a fridge and microwave. Okay, some people buy fridges and microwaves for their rooms. You don't really need a mini fridge once you're out of school, and I don't know actually how much a mini fridge costs, but I rent one, and I've found that works out best because usually like a company will bring it in. I use Bedloft. They bring it in for you and they take it away at the end of the year. Also, I would recommend getting a microwave. Even if you plan on eating at the dining hall a lot, there are going to be times when you want to heat up leftovers or like make oatmeal in the morning, and it's a really good idea to have it on hand. Get to know your advisor and faculty. This is so important for down the road when you need advice and just talking to people who understand you as a student. You really want to get to know them, make an effort, go to their office hours, and make sure that you're not just skating through all your classes without getting to know anyone. Get a credit card and focus on getting a good credit score. This is the perfect time to build a good credit score. You should really do this before you start college. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I feel like I didn't finish writing what I was going to put. I wouldn't just put don't be afraid as a bullet point. I was probably going to add something else there and I just forgot to write the rest. But I guess don't be afraid. That's very vague. You won't do well if you don't attend class. You'll be wasting your money. Personally, when I see students skipping a lot of classes, unless they have like a valid reason, like family emergencies or health issues or something like that, otherwise I just see it as very kind of sad in a way. Like you're paying all this money to go to school, but you're not going to school. And also, it's going to be really hard to pass your exams if you don't go to classes. One of the things I see online a lot is people showing videos saying like, oh, everyone says college is going to be so hard, but then your professor says, here, draw a picture of a cat and you get extra credit. And maybe sometimes you get the occasional professor that might be really lenient like that, but for the most part, that is not true. College is immensely harder than high school. Don't be the person who does not have earbuds in the dining hall or the libraries. There will always be people there who just don't have headphones or earbuds and they play FaceTimes out loud, videos out loud, Zoom calls out loud. You don't want to be that person. If you want a summer internship for the next summer, you need to start looking in the fall. So don't put that off. You need to start working on that pretty early as well. Also, get used to having like a checklist of things you want to take out of your dorm with you whenever you leave your room. At the top of that list, your priority is your keys. You never want to forget your keys, ever. Make plans for safety. Research your area. Know where things are if you need medicine late at night. Carry mace with you. Just be prepared for any sort of emergency, whether it's health or otherwise. Read through your catalog thoroughly. I cannot emphasize this enough. You don't need to have it all mentally mapped out in your head, but you want to be very familiar with your general education requirements and what your major requirements are, and kind of map out your 4 years. Vaguely, you can edit it as much as you want, but kind of have an idea of how you want to complete all of your requirements. Start on a packing list immediately, like right now. As soon as you're done watching this video, start on your packing list for school, because I guarantee you'll think of things randomly. You'll look at something in your room and you'll say, oh, I do want to bring that thing, and you can add it to your list. If you start your packing list like at the last minute, you're going to forget things that you wanted to have on it. Start a LinkedIn profile. At least at UChicago, a lot of people have LinkedIn profiles, and it's so important just for recruiting and laying out all of your accomplishments and keeping track of all of your accomplishments. Also, make sure at the beginning of every class, your professor is going to give you a syllabus. This is not something you want to throw away. You want to read the syllabus front to back, every single detail on it. Don't skip anything. Don't forget to utilize your school's discounts. Maybe you have an arts pass. UChicago has an arts pass, and like it can get you in performances and such for either a discount or sometimes for a completely free price. You definitely do not want to be paying more than you need to be paying. Learn how to use your library. This might sound ridiculous, like doesn't everyone know how to use a library kind of thing? But college libraries have so many resources that it takes actually a lot of exploring to figure out what they have to offer and how you can use what they offer, especially the online catalog. There's going to be a lot of branched websites like JSTOR and everything that you can go to that your school offers you for free, and make sure you know what sorts of sites they offer and what you can get into, how to use the requesting system. It's just such a vast tool set that you have at your fingertips, so make sure that you know how to use it. Clubs, make sure that you get started in a couple straight away so that you can be part of them if you want to be. You can, for most clubs, unless it's like exclusive, for most you can join like any time of the year, but that's not really ideal. You don't want to just start in a random month. Everyone else knows what they're doing and then you're like the only one who doesn't. So I'd recommend getting started on a couple as soon as possible. Be ready to take handwritten notes. For a lot of classrooms, professors will say don't bring in your laptops because it just helps everyone to stay engaged and focused on one another. So you want to be prepared to take handwritten notes. So whether this means kind of developing a handwritten note-taking method that appeals to you, and also making sure that you have notebooks and paper to take notes. Don't forget to plan outings or they might not happen. You're going to get busy, insanely busy. So plan ahead and say, oh yeah, I want to check out downtown on this day. Don't be afraid of the stereotypes of your school. For example, UChicago's stereotype is that it's where fun goes to die. I think that stereotypes about schools are kind of interesting because on one hand you have the fact that they're kind of based on authentic experiences that students have had that you don't really want to invalidate by saying that that stereotype is not true. But on the other hand, it's never really a ubiquitous experience to say that this stereotype happens to everyone who attends this school. And I think that it's just more of something you want to be cautious of being afraid of. Be afraid of being afraid of. It's never going to apply to everyone. It's just not, there's always just such a multitude of experiences and you can't predict what's going to happen to you. Make sure you have a plan to study a little bit all the way through the semester. Be prepared to be tested on everything you've learned. So study a little bit along the way. Don't just study everything all at once at the very end. Get your Gen Ed requirements, or UChicago the core, get those requirements done as early as possible. And the reason for this isn't because you need to rush to get your major done. In fact, feel free to sprinkle classes for your major throughout throughout your first year because it makes it exciting and fun. I would say you don't really want to be doing a ton of gen ed requirements towards the end of your years, purely because you're going to be in classes with students who are all a lot younger than you, which isn't a bad thing at all, but you might probably just want to be with more people your age. And then you're also saving room for more electives towards the end of your educational career. Read through all of your orientation to-do lists. Some of them might seem a little bit monologue-y, like they'll just drone on about things you've probably already done or things that just seem a little bit unnecessary, but they're worth reading. Read course feedback. At UChicago, it's course feedback. They have forums where you can see everyone's reviews of the difficulty and material learned and the professor of the class and everything. I don't know if all schools have this. At the very least, you can go to ratemyprofessor.com and see what the teaching style methods are of the professors that you're going to have, but I always just think it's a good idea to know what you're getting into as you start each quarter. Placements. This one's important because a lot of students, including myself, before school stress about placements. So you might be thinking like you need to study for an upcoming placement exam because it's going to determine which math class you get into, but honestly, don't study, first of all, because then that defeats the purpose of a placement exam. Like, you're not being graded on it, it's just to let you know where you stand in that class. And you don't want to be taking a class that's too easy for you, and you also don't want to be taking one that's too hard for you. So just take it honestly without studying and try as hard as you can. Unless like you're a math major and it really matters. I mean, as far as I can tell, everyone kind of forgets about placements after they start college, and it really doesn't end up mattering. So don't stress about it too much. It's really not a big deal once you start school. Okay, and then classes with heavy reading loads. There's going to be a lot of these at UChicago at least. You might want to get started on those before the fall semester or fall quarter starts. And then finally, make sure that you're well aware of what you need for the climate. A lot of students will actually ask this coming into UChicago, like, what do I need so that I can stay warm during the winter? The good thing is fall is going to be first, and it doesn't get extremely cold during that time, so you can kind of get adjusted to the climate and what it's like there. I would say just do a lot of research so that you're well prepared for what type of clothing and equipment you'll need to get from classes. Like, do you need waterproof boots? Do you need a windbreaker or a winter coat? Just things you want to know to have on hand. I should have organized this because there's so much information in here, but it's such an exciting time being a freshman, and I hope that you have a fantastic first year. Really, it's going to be so much fun. I love school, and I'm so excited for my last year, even though I'm really sad that it's my last year. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have a really great rest of your summer.